All right. Well, good morning. We're so glad you guys are here with us today. It's kind of a dreary day, but we're glad you're here with us. Everybody got an extra hour of sleep, and so hopefully you are awake. A couple of announcements before we get started. Tonight, the first one, so FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, if you're not aware, is a program that runs through Bullitt County Public Schools and all over the country, but specifically in this area, we have it. And so they have a dinner tonight. It's an informational dinner at 6:30. We are hosting a table. We've got some spots, but we still have a few spots available. It's a free dinner. Mark's Feed Store is providing the meal. And so you go to meet Tony Bennett, not the singer, the coach that won a couple national championships at Virginia. So that is tonight. We have a couple spots available at our table. So if you're interested in going, just stop in the lobby and see April. I know that myself, David, and Penny have all spoke at FCAs at different schools. And so it's a great time. They're doing some good stuff in the school system. And so if you're interested or want to learn more about FCA, you are welcome. And if you just want a free dinner tonight at 6:30, you can sit at our table. We would love to have you. Also, next week, if you have a middle school or high school student, they are doing Worship and Worships, which is a weird name. But here's what they're going to do. They're going to get together out at Kara and Logan's. They have a big bunch of land out there. And so they're going to take the pumpkins that you guys now have setting on your porches that are rotting, and we built a trebuchet. If you don't know what that is, it's a medieval launching device. And so they're going to take these pumpkins, and we're going to build a big ship out in the middle of a field, and they're going to launch the pumpkins at the ship and play Battleship. And so it's awesome. If you've never used a trebuchet, we built one before, and it was amazing, and we almost killed somebody. But no, that part, we figured that, no, I was kidding. That part is awesome. And so that is next Sunday or Saturday at 6 p.m. Sign up on the app, but it's a good time for the kids to get together. They're going to have pizza and stuff out there. Also tonight, we are starting every year about this time, we start men's pickup basketball games. And so it's like the race to see who can tear an ACL. And so far, we did have a guy tear his Achilles, and that was fun, but it's totally safe. And so we start those. Anybody can come out and play. Those are from 7 to 9. We play in the Shepherdsville Government Center, just there in the middle of town. And we'll run those games from November until March, unless we all get hurt, and then we'll stop. But if you want to come out and play, we would love to have you. It does not matter your skill level. I promise you. We are all guys that think we're still good, and we're not. And so we would love to have you if you want to come out. It's just a good time to hang out. And then lastly, Guatemala. I know I keep talking about Guatemala. It is one of my favorite things that we do. And so we are going down February 16th to 21st. And so if you're interested in that trip, come see me today because I got to turn in numbers this week. We already have a few people going with us. Of all the things we do, and we do a lot of amazing things, like to go down there, and I always say this, if you live in America, I mean, we are the greatest country with the most privilege and opportunity that's ever existed to go to a developing country, to see the people, to see that. And specifically where we're at El Reparo, what we've done, partnering with Church of the Crossroads, is we are generationally making changes in this community. And so it's amazing. Like one of the first things we did, I mean, it's a silly thing. So in this area was a high crime area. And so part of that reason was because there was no lighting at night. So one of the first projects we did was we went in and put street lights in certain parts of this community, and crime dropped by 60%. Within a month. And that's all because of what we were able to do. And so we are making great efforts down there. So if you've never been out of the country into a developing country, you should go, if not this trip in the future, but we do have a couple spots available. It's really amazing what we are doing. There's some other stuff Justin's going to talk about at the end about giving baskets for people in our community for this Thanksgiving and Christmas. But we are doing a lot of amazing things. And so we are super grateful for your support in all of those things. It has been a chaotic morning. Our toilets are jacked up again. We literally, so you guys know, we're not just like sitting on it like, I hope they work this week. We've brought in a plumber 3 weeks in a row, and we still are having issues. So we're resolving that, but just please be patient with us as we figure that stuff out. It is frustrating for me, maybe more than anybody, but we're getting there, okay? I promise. And so, so today, in light of the toilets not working, I have to preach about being grateful. And so, it's God's fun. And so so it's that time of year for all of us where our season is just changing. We're in this holiday stretch. It started, with Halloween, and then now we're about to, and some of you all, can we just please have this talk real quick? It is November 2nd. It is not Christmas. It's just not. It is, yes, thank you. It is not Christmas. It is Thanksgiving, okay? And so you can put your tree up the day after Thanksgiving and decorate, but let's do Thanksgiving first, okay? And so that we're in that season though, where the school programs, church events, family dinners, shopping list we have to fill. Everybody this time of year, you have those people you're like, we need to get together before Christmas conversations. And I don't know about you guys, but it feels like there's something that could be happening every night, right? I mean, every night our calendars start to get filled. And then on top of that, so we have all this busyness, all of this chaos, all of this stuff going on. And it's like, hey, let's take away an hour from everybody, right? Can we all agree daylight savings is the dumbest thing that's ever existed? My grandfather was a farmer. I understood why they did it back in the day. I don't know if any of you guys were planting crops. You're not. And so let's stop doing this thing, okay? So the sun goes down before most of us get home. We're in that season where you get up, you go to work and it's dark, you come home and it's dark. But even with all of that, the days are shorter. You have less time in the day, it feels like, to do things. But we get busier and busier and busier. And we call this season, starting now all the way through the end of the year, the most wonderful time of the year because of all the stuff that's going on and all the festivities. But it's also the most overwhelming time of the year. We are full of commitments, full of noise, full of motion. And in fact, the American Psychological Association did this report a couple years ago. They found that 48% of Americans report that their stress increases during the holiday season. So think about that. This is supposed to be a season that's about to be pausing and being thankful for all that we've been given, and also the Advent going into Christmas, which is all about peace and joy and gratitude. And yet most Americans say they're more stressed and anxious than any other time of the year. And it's because we have so much stuff that we have to try to get done. Our calendars get filled up. It's supposed to be a time of replenishment, but yet our souls and our hearts and our minds sometimes are weary. And so what we're going to do in this series, and I should have started with this, but the toilets got me all thinking. So we're in this series, we're starting a new one, and we're going to take about 4 weeks and talk through some stuff. Now, anytime we start a new series, if you're used to coming here, you know this. I'm going to say a whole lot of stuff today. It's going to be a whole lot of things. They all connect, but then we're going to come back and talk about some of these things over the next 3 weeks. But to start, I want to use this verse because in light of everything I just said, it is a time for us to remember all that we've been given and to be thankful and grateful for. And so in 1 Thessalonians 5:18, Paul writes this: "Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus." And what Paul does in light of the busyness of his life and all of the things that are going on, not just in our world today, but in their world back then, it's this reminder that sometimes we have to stop. We have to remind ourselves of what we've been given, what we have to be grateful for and thankful for. And I love that verse, in all circumstances. And so we're going to talk about that today. What does that mean? Gratitude isn't something you wait to feel after life calms down, because it rarely ever does. It's something you have to choose right in the middle of the noise, and this is what Paul is reminding us of. And so we're in a season where the days grow shorter, pace grows faster, and yet we're still invited to stop, to reflect, to pause, to remember, even in the messiness of life, the loudness, the busyness of life, what's going on and what we can be grateful for. So I don't know about you guys, I use this word full a lot. My schedule is full, my inbox is full, my plate is full. But here's the thing, fullness doesn't always mean fulfillment. Okay? In fact, sociologists have found that the modern person, and this is where we live, has more opportunities, more comfort, and more freedom than almost any generation in human history. And as we've talked about before, we have record levels of anxiety, exhaustion, and loneliness. We've often mistaken activity, because we have a lot of activity around us, for purpose. We've confused motion for meaning. And we've filled our lives to the brim, but many of us still feel this longing inside. So think about that. We have, and we talk about this, and you should know this, we have more opportunity than any generation in human history. And we have more access to information and opportunity than almost any generation in human history, thanks to the internet, thanks to our smartphones, thanks to all this. I mean, the world is literally at your fingertips. And so that reminds us of what Jesus tells us in Matthew 16:26. What good will it be for someone to gain the whole world? You have access to so much stuff, so much opportunity, so many things. You want something, just DoorDash it, right? You need this, Amazon it overnight if you got the Prime membership. You want to know these things, just Google it. You know, all of this stuff, all of these opportunities, and yet he says, but you forfeit your soul. This verse speaks directly to our generation in the world that we live in. We have gained so much: speed, success, entertainment, convenience. And yet in the process, some of us have lost something sacred, and that is peace in our lives. We've often lost the ability to simply be. And because we've lost that ability, we're often less grateful because we don't see or think about all that we have and have been given. We think about what we don't have. We don't have time to sit. So how about this? We scroll instead of sit, right? We all scroll. We rush instead of rest. We capture moments instead of living in them. And the busyness that comes with all of this is not the life that Jesus came to give us. What did he say in John 10:10? I have come that they may have life, speaking of us, and have it to the full. The fullness that Jesus describes is not about having more things to do. It's not about a packed schedule. It's about peace in your soul. It's about peace in your life. It's about the ability to notice God's fingerprints in every moment. I believe that gratitude begins when we slow down enough, even in the moments that feel overwhelming. Busyness tells us that we're important, right? You feel busy, so you feel important because everybody wants some of your time and some of your schedule and some of your stuff. But gratitude reminds you that you're loved. Busyness says keep going. Gratitude often reminds you to be still. Busyness fills our hands and our schedule, but gratitude fills our hearts. Maybe it's time for us to stop asking, how much can I get done today? And start asking, how much of today can I actually be present for? Life isn't measured in minutes, it's measured in meaning. So in order to do this, we have to have a shift in our thinking. It's this gratitude, because gratitude doesn't remove chaos. It doesn't, but it can transform it. It doesn't always wait for the storm to stop, as we're going to see here in a minute, but it allows us to have a shift in perspective in those moments. Okay, so Apostle Paul, and this is we talked about this before. Whenever you read the Apostle Paul's writings, the temptation is, when you read some of the things in the Bible, is to be like, oh, well, it's easy for them. They're Bible characters. Like, everything was great. It was not great for this guy. Like he went through stuff that we cannot imagine. In fact, the section of scripture that we're about to read, when he writes this in Philippians to the Philippian church, he's not on a tropical vacation. He's in prison. Now, no judgment to anybody if you've ever been incarcerated. But if your story includes, while I was in prison, something didn't go right, right? Like, none of us want that to be a part of our story, right? We want to avoid this. So imagine, this guy is in prison. Again, he hasn't done anything wrong. He's been falsely imprisoned. He's in this cell where the walls are cold, the air was heavy, and his future is uncertain. And yet, listen to what he writes in Philippians. Do not be anxious about anything. I'll be honest with you. If I was in prison, I would be very anxious. But in every situation, by prayer and petition, and here's what he says, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. Those two words, with thanksgiving, knowing where he's at, knowing the uncertainty that he faces, change everything. Paul had the ability to stop and to settle and to remind ourselves, even in these unthinkable circumstances, that gratitude and thanksgiving doesn't come when you wait until everything gets better. He said, bring your request, bring your pain, bring your worries, and bring them with gratitude, with prayer, petition, and with thanksgiving. Why? Because gratitude reframes your perspective. It doesn't always change what's happening around us, but it can change what's happening within us, right? Gratitude has the ability to rewire your brain. There was a study I read from Harvard Research, and they said that people that express gratitude through daily reminders of lists that they would write for themselves, they experience higher happiness levels and sleep better than the average person. Listen, we're all tired. Right? We're tired. And listen, it reduces anxiety, strengthens relationships, and improves resilience. And so gratitude isn't just this thing that we're learning can actually improve our lives through science. It's also a spiritual discipline. It's not about ignoring reality. It's about seeing everything that's going on, not putting the blinders on and only seeing the negativity, right? When we practice gratitude, we stop fixating on what's missing and start focusing on what's still actually present in front of us. Listen, it is easy to give thanks when life is easy. It is. It is easy to give thanks when everything's going the way that you hoped. But what happens when it's not? Because the real gratitude we're talking about is often forged in difficulty. It's saying, I may not understand everything right now, but I'm thankful for a God who walks beside me even in these things. Okay? So, how do we get to this point? Well, it's first admitting this. Life is crazy. Between work, school, bills, and the constant ping of notifications. By the way, I was preparing for this week, so I took 2 days and I turned off all the notifications on my phone. It was the greatest 2 days of my life, right? Just turn them off, okay? Because it feels like we're constantly being pinged for things and notified of things, and it seems like a convenience, but it's actually, let's be honest, it's a headache. There are days when it's a victory just to remember what day it is, right? And now we're heading into the holiday, the season where chaos gets dressed up and we call it tradition. Listen, the lights are beautiful, the things are great, okay, but the pace can be brutal. And so how do we stop? How do we do this? I love this psalm in Psalm 46:10. It says this, "Be still and know that I am God." Now, let me ask the question. For some of us, when was the last time you were still? You're like, well, I'm sitting here right now. Okay, that's not now. But when was the last time you were still? And then when was the last time you were actually still and focused on knowing the gift of life that you've been given and the Creator who gave it to you? It feels uncomfortable sometimes to sit and to be still. For some people, they would say it's a waste of time to sit and to be still. But I believe that gratitude is often born in those moments of stillness, when we pause long enough to look around and see everything around us. Gratitude doesn't deny the craziness, it finds the beauty inside of it. I love what Corrie ten Boom said. We've quoted her several times, but listen to this quote. I love this quote. "There is always something to be thankful for. If you can't be thankful for what you have received, be thankful for what you have escaped." Now, the power of this line, just before you think she's just giving you, positive energy, okay? She was thankful for a lot. But when that last line, "be thankful for what you have escaped," remind yourself that Corrie ten Boom escaped a concentration camp. That's her story. So she's saying, even in all of this stuff that she had to face that nobody else would sign up for, she was able to find gratitude and thankfulness for the life that she had been given. You are declaring that your peace is not set up for negotiation, okay? And so gratitude doesn't come from having a perfect life. It comes from having a grounded heart, right? We are a generation, okay, that never stops moving, okay? It doesn't matter what your age is, okay, in this room. We fill every moment with noise. Podcasts or sports radio in the car, videos during lunch, messages during meeting, and scrolling before bed, right? This is the silliness of a lot of us right now. So our schedule is insane. There are very few nights of the week we don't have something or have to be somewhere, okay? And yes, most of it we've signed up for, so you don't have to feel sorry for me, okay? But here's the thing, right? We feel it. And then do you know what happens When we finally get a day we don't have anything going on, we're like, well, what are we going to do tonight? And then we end up doing 6 other things, right? Okay. Silence can be awkward. Stillness feels unproductive. But here's what I believe. Gratitude grows best in the soil of reflection, and reflection only happens when we pause. We are constantly connected in the world around us, but rarely centered. We were actually, I believe, made for moments of pause, for deep breaths, unhurried thoughts, and quiet gratitude. Okay? So, why do I think all this? Well, think about Jesus. So Jesus is our model. Now, if you're new to church, here's what you need to know about Jesus. Jesus not only shows us what God is like, but the point of Jesus is also to show us what's possible in humanity. That's why if you study people that don't necessarily believe that Jesus is God, they look at Jesus' life and they say, this is the best way and best version of being a human. Now, what we have to understand is not only does he come to show us these things, but experience it. So think about Jesus, okay? Anytime you read the Gospels, and I hope that you took my challenge of reading the Gospels a couple of months ago, what we see is Jesus takes time to get away from the noise and the busyness and to stop and to reflect and to pause. Listen to what it says in Mark 1:35. Very early in the morning while it was still dark. Now, good news for you guys that want to take this example. It's dark all the time now, okay? So you can just pick a time you want to go out. It's dark, okay? Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. Jesus models over and over again that he doesn't wait for his schedule to open up. You think people are asking a lot of you? Read the Gospels. Everywhere he goes, Jesus is being requested by someone or a group of people. Even in the hurriedness, even in trying to leave towns or villages to go to the next place, people are always wanting something from him. And yet he makes time for stillness. He knew that spiritual strength is born in solitude. So he would see this. And any of like the big stories, so again, study the Gospels, any of the big stories, like the stories we talk about, we preach about, we tell our kids about, people are like, look how awesome Jesus was. Almost all of those stories at the end or the beginning, there's a moment where Jesus withdraws and goes and spends some time. He was full of peace, full of power, and full of gratitude. And Jesus knew that part of that meant stepping away, setting in the stillness, spending some time with God, taking some time away from all of the craziness, the chaos, and the busyness. And if Jesus, okay, the one who could heal with a word and calm storms with a whisper, needed to do that, how much more do we? C.S. Lewis says this: we ought to give thanks for all fortune. If it is good, because it is good. If it is bad, because it works in us patience, humility, and the hope of a eternal country. And so we have to learn, just like Jesus did, to pause, to gratitude. And in those moments, gratitude can shift our focus. We can recenter ourselves. We can do all of those things. So that's about busyness. Okay, remember, I'm going to tell you a lot, and then we're going to come back and talk about it. So busyness is one category. But what about the other category of why we don't feel like we can have gratitude? And that isn't about busyness, it's about disruption. So what is disruption? It's not about life getting crowded, it's about life getting turned upside down. Here's the reality. I'll say it again, I'll say it till I die. Every single person in this room, no matter how great your life is going right now, is one phone call away from your entire world being turned upside down. Every single person. So what happens when the diagnosis comes? What happens when the job changes? What happened when that friend moves away? What happens when you get the phone call that it's not looking good? What happens when you get the phone call that they're not here with us anymore? What happens when you don't know how you're going to pay that bill, right? And I'm not being political. What happens for some of us that we're facing when the government chooses to shut down? It's this disruption. And all of a sudden now, because these things happen, the blinders go on and all we can see is that problem. And suddenly gratitude feels out of reach. And this disruption steals from us the joy that we thought we could have in those moments. I want to tell you a story. It's in Acts chapter 16. It's kind of this crazy story. I'm going to tell you a piece of it because we're going to talk about it again later. In Acts chapter 16, there's 2 guys, Paul and Silas. And so these are these, like, you know, we know Paul's like this missionary, and he had guys that would go on these journeys with him, which is Silas, and preach and start churches in different communities and all that stuff. Well, if you don't know this, this was frowned upon by the Roman government and by the Jewish people and stuff because they felt like that they were doing something they shouldn't. And so there was this plots often to get them. So eventually, in Acts chapter 16, they're beaten and thrown into prison. Again, if your story involves being thrown into prison, it's not something we all sign up for, right? So they're beaten, they're thrown in prison, and they're locked in chains. Not for doing anything wrong, but for actually doing something that they thought they were supposed to be doing to help other people. Okay, so that's the scenario. And listen to what it says in Acts chapter 16, verse 25. About midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the other prisoners were listening to them. I'm going to just be real honest with you guys right now. If I'm in prison at midnight, I'm not sure I'm singing hymns. Okay? And you can judge me all you want. All right? I'm probably freaking out a little bit. All right? And yet here are these guys. There has been a major disruption. It's not a scenario they signed up for. And think about it. Here they are praying and singing hymns to God, and these other prisoners are listening to them. Now, if you don't know the end of the story, eventually the prison doors get open and they walk out, and it's kind of this like crazy story. But they're singing before the doors open. They're singing. They don't know what's about to happen. They are singing while the doors are still closed. So here they are sitting in this, and they're singing hymns and praises, and they're showing gratitude even in this disruption. Gratitude doesn't deny pain, it redefines it. It doesn't ignore suffering, it invites God into it. Right? I love this psalm. It's Psalm 34:1. I will bless the Lord at all times. Okay? Now, before we get all churchy, because some of you, that's the temptation. All right. Have you always felt like blessing the Lord at all times? No. Me either. Okay? I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise will continually be in my mouth. This is not just poetic language. It's defiance of working against everything. All times means even in the midnight hours, even in the broken moments, and even when life doesn't make sense. Gratitude isn't reserved for when everything works out. Gratitude is what holds us together sometimes when everything falls apart. Jesus, again, lived this on earth. Gratitude was woven into everything he did. Before he broke bread, he gave thanks. Before raising Lazarus from the dead, he gave thanks. Before facing the cross, he gave thanks. This is what Jesus was. And so how do we do this? Okay, so here's where we're at. How do we actually do this? Okay, well, it is taking that moment to pause, which is what we're going to do right now, and to just think. For example, all of us in this room just took a breath. And you have this pattern of taking breaths over and over again. And every breath you take is a gift. Because every breath you have means that there's still life to be lived. Most of us in this room, it's unfortunate about the toilets. I'm trying to forget about them. But most of us in this room, right, like you're sitting in a climate-controlled room, in a space we don't have to worry about that it's raining outside, right? Most of us in this room have either already put food into our bellies, or we're going to leave here in a few minutes and go put food into our bellies, and we're going to be satisfied because we're going to be able to live. And think about this. Most of us, and I know there's a lot of scenarios going on for some of us, but most of us, for the most part, like we're healthy. We have healthy kids. Like they're doing okay. We're doing okay. Yeah, there's some stuff in life that pops up, but we're doing okay. It's this recognition to start to see that this gift in every breath, every relationship that you have, every sunrise that you get. It's like this moment where if we just stopped and stepped back sometimes and pulled ourselves out of situations, it's realizing all of the things that we have to be grateful for. I love what Ann Voskamp says. She says this: when I give thanks for the seemingly microscopic, I make a place for God to grow within me. This is what Jesus meant when he said that he comes to give us life and life to the full. It's not always about more, it's about meaning. It's not about having everything, it's about noticing everything around you. Think about this perspective shift, okay? Gratitude has the power to reframe even the mundane, right? So how many of you have ever said, I have to go to work? And it's like, God, I have to go to work, right? Okay, I have to go to work. Gratitude says, I get to go to work. I get to have some purpose. I get to do things, create things, make things better with my hands. I get to receive a paycheck that I can then use to better my family, to provide for my family. Or how about this one? You ever said this? I have to take care of these kids. Can we just be honest as parents? Every single one of us has said that at some point in time. I have to take care of these kids, right? Gratitude says, I get to raise these kids. I get the privilege of raising the next generation, investing in them, loving them, guiding them, and shaping them. Okay? How about this one? Don't tell me if you say this. I know some of you do. I have to go to church. It's like this burden. Gratitude says, I get to gather freely and worship and take a moment every week. Because for some of us, this might be the only moment you actually pause and be still and actually get to think and reflect about the goodness of the life that I've been given and the one who gave it to me. It's this shift when we stop and we pause. I love this quote by Aesop. Yeah, Aesop's Fables, but he had some brilliant stuff in there. Listen to what he says. Gratitude turns what we have into enough. That's not just a clever quote, that's a spiritual truth. Gratitude guards your heart from comparison. It dismantles envy, and it kills the lie that joy is somewhere else. This is the lie that we've all bought into, is that the joy and fulfillment of life is somewhere else, or that peace can come into your life when things settle down. I love this psalm. It's Psalm 90:12. It's one of the oldest psalms. It's actually Moses' psalm, not David's psalm. And so it's actually believed that it got put into the psalms because it was a saying that they would say over and over again. And here's what it says. Teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. This verse isn't about counting days. It's about recognizing and making days count. It's about realizing that every day is a gift that we often treat like a guarantee. That every moment is borrowed time that we treat like spare change. Busyness tricks us into believing that the value of time is in how much we cram into it. But the truth is the value of time lies in what and who we give it to. And when we slow down long enough to notice, time can become holy. It can become this sacred thing, a dinner with family. I mean, all right, let's just stop. When's the last time you just sat down and had dinner together? Or a real conversation with a friend? Or you took some moment, as we saw earlier in the Psalms, to sit and to be still? When is the last time you took some time just to sit and to be still and to reflect on all of the things that you've been given? Socrates, the great philosopher, once said, beware the barrenness of a busy life. Busyness stills gratitude. It keeps us from wonders. It convinces us that we must always be somewhere else doing something else. But gratitude redeems time. It slows it down, fills it with beauty, and reminds us that the moment we're in is the only one we're guaranteed. The days are short, especially this time of year. The sun fades earlier, and so much of life can pass us by in a blur. And so gratitude isn't something we just need to talk about. It's something we practice. So let me give you 3 handles. We've done these before, and so we'll see if you paid attention the first time. I did them a couple years ago. All right, so here's the first one. The first thing that comes to gratitude is to learn to pause and to notice. Okay, a few minutes ago, and this happened in first service too, okay, I said that, think about that breath you just took. And that's a gift, and you have show gratitude. And like several of your heads were like, yeah. Guys, that's not deep. Like, we're breathing all the time. Like, it's like a thing you just do to stay alive. But for some of you, you'd never ever stopped and thought about oh, I just took a breath. Like, that's a gift, right? And so sometimes it's just pausing and noticing. It's just stopping and realizing all of the things that you have to be grateful for. Like the warmth of the light, right? That's why most of us hate this time of year, because we don't get any of it, right? It's dark and then it's dark and there's a little bit of sunlight in between. But the warmth of light, how about this? The sound of laughter, the smell and the taste of food, the air that you breathe, right? what are things that you're actually thankful for? It might feel small, but that small shift in you when you start to dwell. Because listen, all of us in this room know what we complain about. All of us in this room have a list of the things we don't have. When is the last time you focused on what you do have? When is the last time you stopped complaining and we're start listing and talking about the things you have to be grateful for? Okay, second thing, so first thing is just stopping and thinking about it. Second thing is this, is actually writing it down, okay? Do you know what was so powerful about the prayer wall? Was that people actually took the time to stop, to write things down that were really going on in their hearts and their minds and their lives, and putting it on a piece of paper and then putting it on a wall so that we could actually see it and we could reflect on it and we could pray over it. So maybe for some of us, it's not just stopping and noticing it. Maybe just like the prayer wall, you actually need to take like a 3x5 index card and you need to write something down. Or maybe you need to get on your notes app. You guys have a notes app, right, on your phone? Mine's like 25,000 notes, okay? It's insane. But you know what? All of those are about work and schedules and all that. I don't have one until this week because I made one of all the things I have to be grateful for in my life. And now it's on my notes app, but it's password protected, so you don't get to see it. But here's the thing. It was this like reminder of being able to be like, oh, I really do have a lot of things to be grateful for right now, in spite of the busyness and the chaos of life. And so maybe that's what you need is actually write it down. Maybe you need to put it on a 3x5 index card and put it on your dash in your car, right? Or maybe on your mirror when you get ready in the morning or on your desk or wherever. I don't know. But actually train your eyes to see and remind yourself. And then here's the last one, is to actually speak it out. Gratitude unspoken is gratitude unfinished. See, for a lot of us, one of the things we have to be grateful for is some of the people in our lives. And so here's the question, and I'm terrible at this, just so you know, so don't think I'm getting on you. When was the last time you looked at someone and told them what you appreciate about them? Think about a spouse, coworker, friend, child, whatever it is, teacher, coach, whatever it is. When was the last time you actually stopped and verbally shared the gratitude that you have for what they are in your life and what they've done? Now imagine if you did this on a consistent basis, where you didn't have conversations just complaining about everything. You actually told people what you appreciated about them, and they shared the same. Imagine what would happen in homes and churches that were filled with words of thanks instead of complaints, right? Gratitude is contagious at times, and when we speak it, things can happen. And so stop and pause, write it down, and then here's the big one. You have to express it sometimes, the gratitude that you have. Now, I'm running short on time, so I want to tell you this quick story. So in this story, in Luke chapter 17, there are 10 lepers. And Jesus goes and he heals all of them. So think about that. Leprosy is a death sentence. Like you're literally waiting to die. And not only are you waiting to die, it's not like today where people will go visit you. You're isolated and waiting to die by yourself, alone. Jesus heals these 10 people, changes the trajectory of their entire lives, and then here's what happens next. Luke 17:17. Jesus sees that only one comes back. 1 out of 10. And he says this, and it's not going to come on the screen. Oh, yeah, it is perfect. One thing is working. All right. Focus, Jeremy. Were not all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? Think about this. This is so powerful in this moment. 10 people had the complete trajectory of their lives changed. They had so much in this moment to be grateful for. And only one came back to express it to Jesus. Here's why I like this story. It's a reminder, I don't want to be one of the 9. I want to be the one that understands what's been done for me and what's been given to me and show gratitude for what it is. Gratitude is not an add-on to faith. It's the essence of it. So imagine if we, as a group of people, became a church that was known for gratitude. Not for our programs or our productions, but for our posture, for being a people who slow down, notice God's goodness in our lives and in the lives of others, and celebrate it. We live in a cynical world. And if you don't believe me, get on social media, open up the news app, do whatever you have to do. We live in a cynical world. And here's the thing. Gratitude is rebellion against that cynicism. What if when others complain, we choose to celebrate? What if when others rush, we choose moments of rest? When others hoard, we choose to give. And when everybody else wants to talk about despair, we choose to talk about hope. What if gratitude was the new way to reach our community? Because a truly grateful person shines, as Jesus would say, in contrast to the darkness of everything else we see around us. Gratitude radiates peace that draws others towards the source of their joy. Listen, the world is short on gratitude, and a grateful church is the people that helps people see God again. Listen, not through perfection. We are not perfect, but through perspective. Not through having everything figured out. We can't figure out the toilets, okay? But through hearts full of thanksgiving. That's our calling, to be people who refuse to live numb, who find God and His goodness in both the miracles and in the mundane, who give thanks in every season and show a weary world what real joy looks like. So, here's what I want to say as we conclude. We are on the cusp of the holiday season, and it's busy, and there's a lot to it. But remember, the lights will eventually fade, and I don't care how good they make your house look, the decorations will come down, the days will grow even shorter, I hate to tell you, and life will keep moving. But the invitation remains to be grateful, not when life is easy, but even while it's full. I love this quote by David Stendhal-Rost. He said this, "It is not joy that makes us grateful. It is gratitude that makes us joyful." Gratitude isn't the result of joy. It's the root of it. When we give thanks, joy becomes the bloom even in the hard soil. You don't have to wait for life to calm down to be grateful. You can live gratefully right here in the middle of the noise because God is already there. Gratitude is the doorway to peace, the anchor for your soul, and the secret to living a full life to the full. So as we move into the busy season, let's not just live fast, let's live full. Let's not rush through our days. Let's learn to meet God in them. Let's pause and reflect, and let's be people marked by gratitude, eyes open, hands open, hearts open, living fully aware that every breath, every sunrise, every heartbeat is a gift to be grateful for. Let's pray. Father God, we love you. We thank you. And God, I just pray that in light of all of the distractions that we just talked about, God, that in all of the chaos of life, that we choose to be grateful. That all of us in this room, we could probably list 10 things right now that we could complain about, that aren't the way we hoped, that are stealing our joy. But God, if we just stopped and just shifted our perspective, I guarantee you that every single one of us in this room could come up with a much longer list of everything that we have to be grateful for. Even the things that we often miss because we feel like we're owed them, or the things that we feel like are just supposed to be, and not understanding that, as your word says, that you're a giver of all good gifts, the giver of lights. And so God, help us just to reframe our perspective, to reframe our hearts and our minds to realize that life is a gift. And some of us in this room have been blessed beyond measure in the gifts we've already received, and it's not even over. God, some of us in this room, it's that reminder that we've been given the gift of you, of what you came down and you reshaped our hearts and our minds. You gave us spirit, you gave us meaning, you gave us purpose, and it all happened because you loved us before we could ever love you. God, for some of us, it's that realization that even that in of itself is enough to give us life and life to the full, to give us meaning and purpose and something to get up every day and stand behind. And God, my prayer also is for those in this room that right now, it's not busyness, it's the disruption. It's the thing that nobody signed up for, the diagnosis, the loss of a loved one. It's the friendship or the relationship that's frayed. And God, help us even in those moments just to be able to stop and reflect and to learn to show gratitude for the things that are still there. And God, especially be grateful because you are a God that promises to never leave us or forsake us, that even when we go through things, God, your promise is that you walk right beside us. And so God, help us to learn to express gratitude in the everyday, to pause, to reflect, to understand all that we've been given, and to give thanks for those things. And so, Father, we love you, and we thank you. We thank you for your word. We thank you for the gifts that you've given us. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.